Good evening. Welcome to the 12-Man podcast live, number 2 for 2025. You're Steve Jackson. I'm your host for the evening. For how long, I don't know, but we will try. You got Mr. John Donovan with me, as usual. Evening, John.
Good evening. When you say you don't know, are you moving somewhere else, or is it just your throat you're talking about?
Just be thought time. No one else. No one else will have me.
I just wanted to be sure, because if you leave me in the lurch, then I'll sort of take over next week in some ramshackle sort of way.
I don't think anybody else has had me, so I'll stick with where I am. But we'll see how long the voice lasts for. So we are going to be joined by Andy from the PO Forecast. Andy, his colleague, I suppose you can call him colleague, can't you? Hugh was with us early in the season, preview the home game. Andy's going to help us preview the away game, so we're going to talk about that a bit later on. That's in about 20-25 minutes time. But we're going to talk about Blackburn. We're going to talk about, did you care about the cup? Was it something you were bothered about? Is it a distraction that's you're happy to have let go of? Performance is something we're going to massively talk about. It was a bit of an eye opener. Wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, but we move on to in the league, I suppose, when we've got plenty of things to put right. But before we start, I'll start with you, John. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you very much. My health is good. The throat's better than yours. Yeah, I'm fine.
You'd blow a bubble. It'd be better than mine.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting this week over and done with an hour trip to Portsmouth.
Aye, I'm looking forward to our trip down south. It should be a good one. I'm hoping, praying, touch wood, that my voice is back to full health, because it'll be well needed, especially down there. They're quite a voiceless set, so we'll have to be at our very best to keep up with them. So yeah, looking forward to
it. We've took the full allocation, haven't we? What, 2,100, something like that, which is tremendous support. I mean, for such a long trip just after Christmas, money's tight. And let's be perfectly honest, we haven't been in sparkling form recently. So, I mean, it's a tremendous effort to sell out for that away game.
It is. I mean, to be fair, we'll talk a bit about it later. Our away form's all right. It's our home form I'm worried about now. But that's where we start with our home form. We'll start with the game against Blackburn. Obviously, we made a few changes. I think I counted 5 or 6 changes in the team. We give players like Law McCabe a chance, Micah Hamilton, switched the centre halves up, put Delano Bergsall up front. How did you feel about that team? I know you're a massive advocate of the FA Cup.
Yeah, I did expect changes, and you're right. I do like the FA Cup. It's always been a favourite competition of mine, even though the powers that be have tried to sort of diminish the amount of giant killings, and just even sort of like it started years ago, when they allowed Man United to sort of dip out of it to go to play some World Club Championships or something. I mean, it seems as though there's not a fair crack of the whip, but I still love the competition. I mean, I used to remember as a kid when the draw used to be on a Monday lunchtime. We would sort of gather at school with the radio and listen to the draw, and it's still got a special feel for me. And so when I saw the team, I did expect changes, but I still thought it was fairly reasonable. Our back four of Engel, Dyke-Steele, Clark and Edmondson all got a lot of games under them, all got a lot of experience. Yes, Law McCabe came into midfield, Micah Hamilton on the right hand side, but with them, you had Barlasser, you had McGree, and Bergzorg was playing, so it was a fairly experienced team, barring a couple of players. So I was looking forward to the game when I saw the team. So yeah, I was looking forward to the game and see how it panned out.
I know as you said that twice. I was looking forward to the game. I think a few of us were, to be honest. The changes did come in. We both expected. We both said last week that we were going to make changes. You're absolutely right. The powers that be are killing the FA Cup. I'll take a prime example. Yesterday, Tamworth should be sat here today celebrating a goalless draw and a chance at getting Tottenham at whatever stadium's called, New White Hart Lane. The money that's going to bring to that club. I know they've got a lot of money from yesterday, but the fact the FA Cup replay is gone is killing clubs. It will kill some clubs, unfortunately. But teams like it's quite ironic because it's teams like Spurs who didn't want replays, but are quite happy to ship off to Seoul or Australia on end of season trips. So the irony is just not there for me. But come back to Borough. Keep away from them lot. Yeah, the team was about what I expected. I thought Berg's go up front. Thought Hamilton would get his chance. Gilbert get his shot. Law McKay was a bit of a surprise. I thought, but then I thought, well, who else are you going to bring in? Plus, I don't mind McCabe. I think he's a very big prospect we've got coming through. So. But I mean, getting to the game itself, because Blackburn made a couple of changes as well. There wasn't a massive amount in that first half, was there? I know Leonard hit the bar in the first half. I'd probably say that was about it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was it from Blackburn, and it wasn't much better from us, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, to call it the magic of the FA Cup, there was very little magic there. It was pretty. It was a pretty poor, dull, mundane first 45 minutes. Not a great deal that you can call highlights. But it was always hoped by the lads who I spoke to at half time, having a beer, that the second half would improve. And as the game wore on and nobody wanted to go to extra time and penalties, that we could have found a winner. But as the game wore on, that became less and less likely, to be honest. But anyway.
Yeah, I say, people expecting the magic of the FA Cup and expecting Harry Potter of it. It got more steel than Mulhern, to be quite honest. It was horrendous. It wasn't great. It was sad, to be quite honest, because it's two decent teams. Two decent teams at the top end of the Championship. They usually produce good end football. John Eustace got Blackburn playing good football. Michael Carrick Scott was playing good football, despite what some say. It just wasn't that, and you could tell as well the changes did that. But second half came, I can't even say we really pushed ourselves on it that much more. We had a couple of chances. I think we had one shot on target all game. But the moment that killed us, I think it all started from that pass from Glover that went to Vyman. How Vyman missed, I don't know. But for me, that was the warning shot, wasn't it? That was, we've let him off. I think he's going to come back and bite us here. And unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we it was down towards the north stand where Glover sort of like hit the ball straight at Wyman, and he managed to sort of like scramble back and possibly put him off his final shot, which went over the bar, which was a glaring miss. But we've spoke about Glover and his liabilities, and you just feel that that there is always a mistake there. I don't wish to sort of like have a go in particular, but we have got to address that position this this window, because Tom Glover is fine. He's okay, but we need something more. We need a keeper who was going to win us points from his displays, not have us wondering at what minute is his mistake gonna come in this game, because there always seems to be one. I mean, the last game against like Burnley, when he sort of like punched the ball with two hands. I mean, I suppose he could have caught it, but he thought punching was a better option. But he punched the ball straight to the feet of Brownhill, was it? Yeah, Brownhill, who again missed a sitter. Dale Fry got in the way. But we can't do with sort of adequate at this stage of the season. You know, we've got half a season to go, just short of half a season to go. We need, if Sol's going to be out for a while, if Dien's going to be out until who knows when, we need somebody who can save us points in a game. Yeah, it was a terrible mistake, and it was a terrible miss. We give him loads of stick in the north stand, you know, and then a few minutes later, he had the last laugh.
It's always the case, isn't it? I mean, you know, we'll go back to the keeper situation. You were saying there. I mean, we mentioned it last week, didn't we? We have to focus on getting a keeper in, especially with the situation. You know, Craig Johns was on with us. He said the situation with Dien would have been his hip flexor. That's the problem. We don't know how long that's going to take. You know, Sol brings out with a dislocated shoulder. When you saw the rumour of Mark Travers potentially being looked at, did that give you a bit of hope? You know, you think that's the kind of keeper we should be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to sort of like single out positions or particular players, but I'm still looking for us to be promoted. And I think if we wish to be promoted, we need to do it with a stronger keeper. And I apologise if that upsets anybody who thinks Glover is good enough for the role. Personally, I don't. I want to see somebody stronger, somebody less accident prone, between the sticks, and like I said earlier, someone who can save us points, earn us points. This like half season to go. So yeah. I mean, yeah. Then you know they took the lead. I think that was their only shot on target. The goal.
Yeah, it was.
And again, it was another soft goal. Who tracked back with him, God only knows. And therein lies a bit of a problem for us, because when we've got the ball, we're so ponderous, we're so slow, that by the time we get up to the halfway line, or maybe it's 5 or 10 yards into the opponent's half, they've got everybody behind the ball. Now we can't break a team down. You know, top teams can break. Teams can go and park the bus, as the saying goes, but top teams can find ways through that. We aren't a top team, and we can't break teams down. So our best bet is to be fast, incisive, direct, so that we have maybe 3 or 4 players up, move the ball quickly, move up the field, and we're only trying to break down 5 or 6 opposition players behind the ball. But as it is, because we're so slow, we allow everybody to get back. And it's too congested. There's no gaps opening up. And we haven't got the creativity at the moment or confidence when we're on the ball to break them down. So our style of play, it works against us. It's no good having the possession. Possession means absolutely nothing in a game. It's goals, and it's shots on target because they lead to goals. And we're just not doing that. It's frustrating because we're now at a crucial stage of the season. We're fifth. But if we don't start to play with more purpose, with more energy, with more zip, quicker, move the ball quicker, then we won't stay in the top six. We need to improve our current form. We've got to step up a bit to maintain that position in the top six or go slightly higher. It really is a crucial time for the Borough because Saturday was just another one of those games where we didn't do anything with the ball, really. We didn't do anything with the ball. I mean, their reserve keeper was not tested, really. It was poor.
It was. I mean, you mentioned in there, I can tell how frustrated you are because you can tell the passion in your voice, which is more than I can even display. But you mentioned there about creativity, lack of speed. Does that make the decision to sell? I know the price tag that's come about, looking at £5 million, but the decision to sell Isaiah Jones at this point, do you think that is coming a bit of a surprise for you? Without someone walking through the door, especially with all the criticism that Michael Hamilton's now getting. People saying he's not quite ready for this kind of level. I say I don't know. I've not seen enough of him. But fans have seen enough and they've made their judgments. But what do you make of the move for Jones to Luton?
Well, I mean, just let me start with Michael Hamilton. I mean, he didn't do well on Saturday. He didn't take the opportunity. He didn't show a great deal of what Michael Carrick said he's seen in him. He didn't show that in first team action on Saturday. But you've just got to hope, that he can progress and we can get the best out of him. As for the Jones move, we don't know whether or not it was something that he's wished for himself and he's knocked on the door and he's asked to be given another opportunity elsewhere. As it is, it seemed to move fairly quickly. £3 million up to 5 with add-ons. I'm led to believe is the sum agreed. Listen, he's done well in the past, but not recently. Maybe it was time for a move. Maybe it was right for the player. The club have cashed in, so I wish him good luck, but I'm not heartbroken by it.
No, I'm the same. On his day, he's unplayable. We've seen performances where he's done that. I mean, you look at the 20s. I know it's hard to say only 20 minutes, but the 20-25 minutes he had at the Stadium of Light last season, where he just absolutely ripped apart Jack Clark in that left-hand side and created 2 goals and obviously scored himself. He has that in him. It's just unfortunately he's a bit like our season. It's too inconsistent. He can't string them together as much as he used to, which is it's harsh because he's only a kid still. He's still only young, and I hope he thrives at Luton. I really do. But I think we must have some idea of is Ben Doak, is Ben Doak a shoe in to stay now? Because would we have let him go if Doak was going to be recalled? Because there's a lot of interest coming in for Ben Doak. People can't ignore that. But like you said, I think it's probably the right decision if the money's right. It's doing us good. I just hope and pray we've got something in mind just to give us a bit of cover. Just yeah. But to go back to Hamilton, do you think the move on loan would do him any good?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know whether that would knock his confidence or. I mean, I think I think Carrick was asked about the possibility of him leaving on loan, but he's shut that down and said, that he sees a bright future for him. I hope to God he's right. He hasn't shown a great deal at the moment, but we've just got to keep our fingers crossed and hope that that there's something in the player that Manchester City saw, and then that we saw enough to buy him on a permanent deal, that we can get him playing for us in an effective role, and I don't think a loan move would be good for him. I think he needs to be here. I think he needs to sort of try and grow at this club rather than having his confidence knocked and getting loaned out to a lower league team. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I fully appreciate it. And with that in mind, then, would you think? So you look at under 21s. They're in the what's they call it, the International Cup. They're playing top teams in Europe. Would it be worth sticking him in one of them games? Marcus Forss has been in them games. I think Dale Fry played in one of them games as well, just to get his fitness up. I know a couple of first team players got a chance in that. Would it be worth giving him a little go in that, just to give him a few minutes?
Well, yeah, it would, because he's not going to feature when we're, when we've got players back like Howson, we've got Force back who came on Saturday, obviously, Morris back very shortly. It'll give us more numbers to choose our first 11 and to give us a stronger bench in forthcoming games. So if he's not going to get a great amount of game time, then a competitive game like that would benefit him. Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I think it would as well. Yeah, I only thought of it because I know something came up on my phone today that they're back in action tomorrow. Obviously, good luck to them. I know they've been quite competitive in the games they've played so far. So it might even be the last game tomorrow. I don't know, but I just thought about it. Then why not? Give him a shot. I mean, Jason's popped up. All he said is feel the force. Do you think he's mentioned? Do you think he's referring to anything there?
He's what? Sorry, said what?
Feel the force.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to you've got to hope that Marcus Forss is over these injury niggles and he can get back to the level of last season, because I mean he was close to being one of our top scorers again in a sort of stop-start season for him, and he scored some great goals. So he is a threat. So I just hope that we can give him a few more minutes, build him up slowly, and he plays a big part in the rest of the season, because we need it. Like I said earlier, just my thoughts are that we're at a bit of a critical point at the moment. We're out of both cups on the first round cheaply at home with poor displays. There's rumblings and mumblings on social media about the club's direction and things like that. So really, it's time for everybody, fans, club, team, players, management, everybody at the club to look where we are, 5th place, and really sort of like pick up from here. And if we can't climb up the table, then we've got to maintain our position within that top 6. Because like we said, I don't know if it was last week's or the previous weeks, if we don't make the top 6 this season, for a lot of fans, it'll be seen as failure, especially with the type of player we brought in and the investment that was made. If we don't make the playoffs as bare minimum, it'll be deemed as failure. Yeah,
absolutely. Just make one more point, because I know Andy's waiting to come in and speak to us about Portsmouth. One thing that did come up today, obviously there is people that have at time after the game where they'll sit in the seats, once the players warm down, got a sight of something quite uplifting. Aidan Morris took to the turf, and it looks like he's quite close to his comeback, and there's talks could be back this weekend. How big would that be for us going forward, especially with the stick that the centre of midfield is getting, as we mentioned, with the goal that Blackburn scored?
Well, yeah. I mean, you saw his contribution that he made to the team before he went on international duty and picked up the injury. Big player, one of our better performers this season. So to lose him and to lose others, especially like Howson, who play a similar, not identical, a similar role, it was a big blow. So if we can get him back, that is key, because he's the one who puts the snap into midfield. He's busy. He loves a tackle. He's got a brilliant sort of stamina level, and he's up and down the pitch. And that's what we need. Like I say, we're too plodder. At the moment, it's a bit slow, and it's a bit too familiar. We need to change things up a bit. We need to speed things up a bit. We need to beef things up a bit, and put up a fight. Basically, put up a fight. Don't just succumb in games. If you go behind, grab the team by the scruff of the neck and drag them into position and come back. We need fight. We need spirit. I mean, the red and white up the road. You watch them, and they're so energetic compared to us. That is, and we should be like that. We should be like that. We've got a fairly young set of players. We should be like that. However, we're just too slow, and it allows teams to get behind the ball, and we struggle like hell to break them down. So I'm hoping the introduction or reintroduction of Morris will just give us a bit of give it a bit of punch in the midfield.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's been massively missed. Our form is. I know we've been inconsistent all season, but our form has been really inconsistent since he got injured on international duty. Obviously, a win, a draw, a loss, a win, a draw. It's literally been like that. So, and you can tell the contribution he makes, like you said, going box to box like he does. We big time miss that. Tracking the runners going into the box, he'll do that work for you. I think Hackney misses that as well, because Hackney, as good as he is, he's not a big fan of doing that. He'd rather stay a bit more centralised and not worry about that sort of stuff and think about going forward a bit more. So yeah, I say it's definitely needed. It's definitely wanted. And I say if he gets on the pitch on Saturday, I'd be absolutely delighted. So usually I'd ask you if you man of the match, but I'm not going to bother.
Law McCabe.
There you
I'll
go.
give you it. Law McCabe. You know, I thought he done well. I thought he was unlucky to be pulled. I didn't think that was right, but anyway, yeah, he impressed me.
Yeah, I thought he pulled the wrong one. I thought he pulled the wrong midfielder off the pitch, to be honest. But yeah, no, I thought. We said in the last season, didn't we, that Law McCabe is a talent that's going to be coming through, and he got his chance in the last season. He took it massively. So, and rewarded with a new contract, place in the squad. Even if the people at Rockcliffe don't recognise him as of yet, pulling up with his mum in the car and they don't know who he is yet, but he'll get there. He will get there.
Yeah. Listen, I just want to say something on Saturday, and I'm sorry to keep Andy waiting, but
Sorry.
It wouldn't have changed the game one iota, right? But at the end of the first half, there was 0 minutes added. At the end of the second half, despite being 6 substitutions and a couple of stoppages of play for injuries and players down, there was only 2 minutes added on. Now, fair enough, the referee might have been like us, get this game over with. You're not getting the right time. I'm only giving you 2 minutes. But we've seen that before, haven't we? We've seen it 30 seconds per sub, and there was 6 subs, so it should have been minimum 3. I know it's nothing, but it's just something that I thought, well, how can why is that? Why is it only 2 minutes? No. You're not doing your job, or the fourth official isn't doing his job. But anyway, that's just a little gripe that I had. Like I say, it wouldn't have changed the game one bit. We were poor. We deserved to be beaten, and it was just a little thing at the end of the game. I thought, well, it should have been minimum 3. But anyway, that's just me.
You're absolutely right to bring it up because later on Saturday, City played Salford. City were 8-0 up, and they still added 4 minutes on. So you know what I mean? That's the type of game where you go, you know what? You've had enough.
Just end it, yeah.
It's a bit like a boxer. It's just like, slugging his way through the rounds. You've had enough. Just stop.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll pull you out now. It's fine. No, I didn't agree with 2 minutes. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm sorry to really listen if I was a bit harsh on the border there, but I love them, and sometimes it gets me down. I'm going to have a drink now, and then we're going to talk about Portsmouth when it will be positive.
Exactly. And the people that say that the great John Donovan can't speak critically about the borough, there you go. You've had half an hour of him absolutely ripping them a new one. So, and fully deserved as well. So I couldn't stop him doing it. I couldn't stop him saying what he did because he's absolutely right. So, and just like that, we move on in the league, back to league action because we haven't got anything else to look forward to now. We move on to Portsmouth, I suppose our second longest trip of the season now, isn't it? With Southampton gone. We had Hugh on from the PO forecast earlier in the season. He's binned us tonight, so we've gone with Andy. Andy, how are you?
Hi guys, nice to see you. Yeah, all good, thank you. How are you keeping?
Yeah, we're doing good. Thank you very much for giving up your time to speak to us about Portsmouth. We usually start and get your insights about how Portsmouth are doing, things like that. But first thing I'll ask you, obviously it broke as we were just going live and recording, going live on air. Sammy Silvera coming back to us from yourselves. We've put him back out on loan again. Was that a surprise to you? There you go, shit in the head. How's he dealt with his loan spell on the south coast?
Yeah, honestly, it hasn't worked out probably how either club wanted it to, and I'm not. We're not one of those podcasts that comes out and has the same attitude as some fans you see on social media. But I don't think you could watch the performances and say that he'll be happy with how it's gone. John Messina won't be happy with how it's gone, and Michael Carrick certainly won't be happy with how it's gone either. he's not really had the game time to impress. And then when he's had opportunities to impress, he's not taken them. And you could just see the impact it's had on his confidence, to be honest with you. Last time out, when he did get the opportunity, I think it was Bristol City a couple of games ago, and you could just see there was no confidence to run at defenders, no confidence to really get a good ball into the box. I really don't think that coming to us has done him any good at all, unfortunately. And it doesn't really surprise me to see that he's dropped down a division. I think there's obviously a really good player in there somewhere, but we didn't see it at all, unfortunately. And yeah, I think the club as a whole were probably hoping that Carrick would recall him, because we couldn't terminate the loan. I think Michael Carrick had to recall him to you. And I think John Messino and most of our fan base were probably hoping that would happen to free up the squad space, because obviously we do need to strengthen a little bit in January. You may have noticed by looking at the league table, we could use a couple of players coming in. So yeah, unfortunately hasn't worked out. I don't think he's loved the fan base, because Fratton Park is one of those places that unfortunately can get on a player's back if they don't feel like they're getting 100% from them. And yeah, it's sad that it didn't work out, but I'm very much not surprised that he's been recalled and then sent off again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the conversations were had between the two clubs. I think you are right. It had to take Carrick to pull the plug to bring him back, and obviously, feelings were felt that he wasn't progressing as we thought. That's why we've now loaned him out to a League One club just to give him a bit more insight onto the lower leagues. But you have brought up the league position. You are fourth bottom. We did speak to Hugh at the beginning part of the season. He said straight away he'd fully on take that. Are you in the same boat? How have you found your first season back at the second tier?
Yeah, fourth bottom is very different to third bottom. But if we get to the end of the season and we're fourth bottom, I'll be quite pleased with how things have gone. Yeah, I think the season started with Pompey fans thinking, survival is, that's everything. And the vast majority of us still have that as our viewpoint. I think the first few games of the season where we picked up a point at Leeds, we picked up a point against you, and we picked up what at the time we thought would be an excellent point against Luton, who had just come down from the Premier League. And I think that dangerously raised some people's expectation levels, those good results, and the players sort of dug themselves into a difficult position by doing so well early doors. But yeah, I think 99% of the fan base with more than a brain cell would say that staying up this season will constitute success. And then you try and kick on next year. I think it's our lack of sort of being clinical with the chances we've created has cost us. In League One, you do get more chances. Watching the games, there is a visible difference in quality between the Championship and League One. And I mean, we saw that first game of the season when suddenly Dan James was running at our left back for Leeds rather than, some person from, Burton Albion, who, to be honest, none of us had ever heard of before, even as massive fans. Bit of a difference in quality. And yeah, we found that if we get 2 or 3 chances a game, we've not necessarily taken them as we should. And then in games where we've only given away 1 or 2 chances, we tend to have been punished by players who only need one opportunity to punish us. So, bit of a baptism of fire. It's been interesting. There's been some good wins in there, and there's been some total dumpster fires. So it's been a real mixed bag thus far, to be frank.
Yeah, we've been on the end of Dan James ourselves this season, so yeah, we understand.
He's a very good player, isn't he? He's a bit of a step up from what we were used to last season.
Yeah, same with us. Quite honest, he was a bit of a problem when we played him just a few weeks ago. He was. I think the difference, obviously, we haven't experienced League One like you have. We play teams every now and then, but I think it's the directness of players in the Championship. They'll go a bit more for your throat, and they're a bit more clinical, like you said. But you've got us coming down at the weekend. What a trip I'm very much looking forward to doing. I haven't been to Fratton Park in years. I love Fratton Park. I think it's one of those old school grounds that should never ever die. Is Mr. Pompey still there?
Yeah.
Right, we'll leave that there.
I won't say much more. Yes, he is there.
John Westwood, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't miss him, even if you want to. You can't. Yep. Personal view. I don't speak for any of the other lads on our podcast. I speak for myself. But yes, hard to miss. He is very much still there if he's not serving one of his bans, which I don't think he is at the moment.
One of his bands, wow. And what kind of Middlesbrough team are you expecting coming down to yourselves at the weekend? Obviously, we've been speaking, we've just obviously been knocked out of the FA Cup by Blackburn. Yes, the changes were
All the
made.
best teams have. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
There you go. It feels so much better. You said that. What kind of test are you expecting on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest about the game between us earlier in the season, we benefited from a couple of quite poor defensive lapses from you guys, which allowed us to escape with that point. Although, it wasn't a bad performance from Pompey by any stretch of the imagination. I think if you play that game 10 times and your defensive line don't commit harikari, then I think you probably win that game more than we do. But in terms of this weekend, I'm very much imagining you're seeing it as a game you should be winning. Please do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if the roles were reversed, I'd be seeing, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th in the league away. You should ideally be picking up 3 points if you're looking around the playoffs or above. And as such, I'm expecting you to play some fairly nice football. I mean, my perception of Michael Carrick in the past has been it's not a difficult watch. I don't. Again, you obviously watch Middlesbrough about 44 more times than I do each season at the moment. But my perception has always been it's quite nice football on the eye, and I wouldn't expect you to come and just line up with a low block and two big banks seeing out the game. I'd be quite disappointed in you if you did that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'd imagine it'll be a fairly open game because I really don't think we're likely to just play an attritional game. We did it once against Norwich and actually executed it fairly well, but for the most part, our games have been fairly open. So I'd expect a fairly free-flowing game, which could go one of two ways for us if experience this season is anything to live by.
Yeah, well, and speaking as a Borough fan, I think we need to go there hoping for a win, looking for a win. But you know what? Don't know what we're going to get. I honestly don't know. I can throw my hands up and say, I don't know what we're going to get because our inconsistency is our biggest downfall.
Yeah, I think we found the same, but probably even more so. Look, if the league's anything to go by, but there have been games this season where we've really looked genuinely pretty good, to be honest with you, when it's all linked up. But there have been other games that are fairly obvious. If you look at our results, if you're looking at things like the Derby game, if you're looking at the Stoke game, it's just all fallen apart. And when that tide has turned, they've really struggled to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Struggled to stop the water from just coming up around you, sort of King Canute style. It just rises around you, and there's not much you can do about it. But I think defensively, that's where we tend to be found out by the better attacking sides, to be honest with you. We don't have a settled back forward due to multiple injuries. We've got a new centre-back has come in, Rob Atkinson, and looked very good when he came on as a sub against Sunderland in his first game, and then started against Wickham and got shown up a couple of times, albeit in a bit of a makeshift Pompey side. So defensively, we are a little bit, let's say, iffy. But there's a bit more to us going forward, especially at Fratton Park. But I always find it difficult to foresee us keeping a clean sheet, to be honest with you, against a team with any attacking skill whatsoever.
No, I mean, you look at the first game, like you said, between us, we had 31 shots on goal. I've never seen a barrage of, pure assault, to be quite honest, that second half. How we didn't get a winner, I don't know. Walking out the ground at 2-2, I was thinking, I hope this season isn't like that, because that was brutal to not get a winner. Unfortunately, it has been like that. But like you said,
careful who you're complaining to about your league positions.
We're fifth in the league and we're mourning.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I know perspective is everyone's got their own levels, but I wouldn't mind being fifth in the league at the moment. I can think of worse places, but I realise that I've not watched you week in, week out.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think ours is just pure frustration because we know that we know that throughout the season we've thrown points away. I mean, we talk about the game early on against you, and the gifts that we handed to you. You know, I think if you ask any Borough fan to name games where we've been in front and then just thrown the game away, or made comical errors at the back to gift goals to the opposition. Most Borough fans will start at 12 and go up to 18 points that we've thrown away. So it's purely out of frustration that that we sort of bemoaning how our season's gone so far. But like you say, we are fifth. We've got no cup competitions to detractors or to sort of like to take our focus. We've got to stick to remaining in the top six and picking up results. And we've got an opportunity on Saturday at Fratton Park to obviously start the rest of the season hopefully on a good foot.
Yeah, what you said there rung true to me about conceding late. I think Pompey are the team in the league who have, I think, with the side that have dropped the most points from winning positions and also conceded the most goals in the last 10 to 15 minutes of games. So it sounds like some bets on lots of goals from the 65th minute onwards might be the way to go for this game. Yeah, that rings true. I mean, it says a lot probably that the Swansea game recently, when we actually ended up winning it fairly comfortably, they were quite poor. But even at 2-0 and even to a certain extent at 3-0, we were thinking this actually isn't over, which is a terrible mindset to be in. You're 3-0 up and not actually enjoying the game as yet because there's still 25, 30 minutes left. And you're thinking, well, we've thrown away worse kind of thing, which it doesn't feel overly safe. But yeah, the first 15, we've conceded a lot of goals. It's something like 12, 13 goals I think we've conceded in the first 15 minutes of games this season, which is just bonkers. And then, last 15. We're pretty good in the middle, sort of 2/3 of the game. Just that first 15, that last 15, we tend to not perform well in either or both of them on any given occasion. But you're in trouble for that middle 60, honestly. You're not going to know what hit you. Just got to score 5 goals in the other 30 minutes and you'll be grand.
I mean, that must be frustrating for a Portsmouth fan. I mean, if I was to ask you, what do you think is the cause of that? Is it concentration? Is it not starting bright enough for the first 15 and then concentration towards the end?
Yeah, it must be frustrating for the players too, because a lot of the time they've put in decent performances and then lost by 2 or 3 goals because of those lapses. I think to a certain extent it is to do with player ability in terms of being able to keep that concentration for the full 90 minutes. And again, I don't want to repeat myself, but in League One, you can give away a couple of chances with silly lapses and you don't get punished anywhere near as much as you do in the Championship. So the back line has been put under a lot of pressure. We've had a lot of changeover in centre-back position. We've had Marlon Pack, who is a central midfielder, playing at centre-back instead of actual centre-backs, which says a lot about sort of how things have been going in that part of the pitch. Although he is suspended for this game because he got sent off against Sunderland, so he won't be lining up there against you. But it's been quite individual mistakes, to be honest with you. There's not been that many moments of sheer brilliance against us. There have been a few goals that you just take your hat off and go, okay, that was pretty sick, actually. But for the most part, the goals we've conceded have been concentration lapses, or, one centre-back closes down, the other drops off, therefore there is no offside trap, and, whoever it is through on goal. It's been sort of a lack of communication and, concentration drops. And you do feel a little bit for the players because that must be so frustrating because they have put, 75, 80 good minutes together quite a few times and come out from a lot of those games with absolutely nothing because the other 10 minutes have been such, basket cases. But yeah, it's a good question. If I knew why, I imagine I'd be on the coaching staff rather than not on the coaching staff and shouting from the Fratton end.
So what? Who are the players? Who are the Portsmouth players that Middlesbrough need to be wary of? Who's available on Saturday? Who you think may cause us problems?
Yeah, I mean, we'll line up in a 4-2-3-1 unless anything absolutely insane happens between now and the weekend. And realistically, danger players, you're looking Callum Lang most likely playing in the 10 role behind the striker. You're looking at Josh Murphy, who we brought in from Oxford United in the off-season and has just been absolutely brilliant, to be honest with you. And then you're looking at Matt Ritchie, who took a few games to get up to speed and he's really hit his straps and has looked very, very good on the right. So realistically, those three in attacking mid, particularly Callum Lang and Josh Murphy, that's where most of our goal threat is going to come from. Colby Bishop playing at 9 wasn't playing against you earlier in the season because he was diagnosed with a heart condition in the off-season and he'd had heart surgery. And he's gone from cardiac surgery through to being back on the pitch within 12 weeks, which is absolutely insane as far as I'm concerned. And I say that as a person who's, my job is partially involved around cardiac health. And it's absolutely incredible to see him back on the pitch. But he's quite understandably taking a little bit of time to get back to his clinical self in terms of those 1 or 2 chances that he used to snaffle up. And maybe now he's scoring 1 out of every 4 of them instead of 1 out of every 2. But again, that's quite understandable. But yeah, it's going to be Callum Lang and Josh Murphy that are likely going to be the ones who are trying to cause you most problems. We are, I'd say, probably a little bit less one-dimensional than we were last time you saw us. So at the start of the season, we executed a high press fairly religiously. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it got tore apart. And then we'd play out on the ground from the back and keep our fingers crossed that worked out. And then that got really exposed a couple of times, particularly by Sunderland. Playing out from the back just didn't work. We didn't get past central defensive midfield because they just executed their game plan perfectly and demolished us in that third of the pitch. So we do mix it up a little bit more now with a low block in some games and a high press in others. It's quite difficult to predict which we're going to do at home against a team higher up in the league because you could make an argument for both. But there is a little bit more flexibility there, I think, than there was last time you saw us. So I'm trying to sort of make us sound competent without, doing that thing that we get on podcasts all the time where we come on and put the fear of God in the opposition and then feel like an idiot when we're 3-0 down in 7 minutes at the start. And then you get sort of quoted in the next week's episode. I also don't want to do that.
Yeah. We've done it before. Yeah, we'll clip the opposition fan.
Yeah, don't worry. I did it when we were playing Derby the other week, or a couple of months ago now. I didn't realise I'd said it until afterwards, but we were doing the predictions and I said something like, I'll go with a 2-1 Pompey win, but knowing our luck, we'll go down 4-0 or something to them. And then sure enough, we lost 4-0, even though I'd said it as sort of a jokey, least likely result. And that got clipped back to me quite nicely, which was excellent. So yeah, I try and avoid too many predictions, which I'm probably in the wrong type of podcasting hobby to avoid them too well. But my predictions are awful, so please don't put any merit in them.
We'll ask you that later. Yeah.
Yeah, we will put that to you, don't worry. But obviously, you've given us a couple of players there to keep an eye on for Pompey. As a players I was quite aware of. Some reason Pompey's been on the telly quite a bit this season, so nice to catch Pompey quite a little bit. From the Borough squad, obviously you mentioned there you haven't watched a great deal of us, but is there certain players that you're looking at within our team and thinking, I don't fancy playing against him, if he puts the fear of God up me?
Good question. I don't even know if he's playing at the moment, but purely from what we're missing at the moment, I'd do some pretty terrible things to have a nice, reliable, solid centre-back, like us having Matt Clark back or something along those lines. We were linked with George Edmondson as well before he went to Middlesbrough. And yeah, I'd do some pretty terrible things to have either of them in the side. In terms of going forward, again, I don't know how influential he's been for you guys, but I've rated Ben Doak fairly highly for a year or so. When I've seen him, I've been quite impressed. I don't know if he's been doing that for you this season or not, but
he's been okay.
From the tone of your voice, I don't know how.
He's a star. Honestly, he's very direct. He's persistent. He's fast. He's tricky. So yeah, he's done really well for us. We just fear that in this window, that Liverpool don't decide to sell him if they get a bid from another team. or whether Liverpool. I don't think they will recall him for their use, but they may recall him to sell him to somewhere else. So we are crossing our fingers that we keep him for the whole of the season, because he's had a massive impact.
Oh, you want to try being in 20th? It pretty much makes most of your players fairly safe, and not too many people from higher up are coming swooping in. That's where you're going wrong.
I tell you what, if we were in 20th, there would be civil war in the stands at the Riverside, I'm sure.
There wouldn't be enough of us in the stands at the Riverside for civil war. But no, you're absolutely right. When you see the stories of the teams that are linked down to Bayern, Bendorf, Bournemouth, Palace, Ipswich, they're all lining up. And sometimes you think, well, I'm not sure why all them teams are in. Believe the hype. I mean, that'll probably get clipped. If he gets absolutely marked out the game on Saturday, that will get clipped right there. So he's saying, what's him like? Because he's brilliant. And you always know when Borough are going to play well, because he plays well. He proves to be the difference. Even in the 3-3 draw at Plymouth a few weeks ago, he came off the bench and caused no, he didn't come off the bench, but you know what I mean. When the players went off the bench, he caused absolute havoc, and their left back couldn't deal with him at times. He's a brilliant player. He's superb, and when he's got players like Lassie Laff in the middle of the box, Finn Azaz, we've got players who can really put the ball away. Ask Oxford. Oxford paid for trying to sit back a bit too much, and we just kept going. And we kept going, and we put them to the sword. So, without being too brutal to you, Andy, I'm not being funny. I hope we do exactly the same to you lot, to be quite honest.
I think you were being disingenuous if you didn't tell me that. Yeah, I trust you more now you've said that.
There you go. It's like you said, we've got to be aiming towards the teams at the latter end of the table and saying we need to hit these as hard as we can. We only got 4 points out of Hull and Cardiff when we should have got 6. We can't make the same mistake again. That's how.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the automatics or playoffs as your goal, if you get to the end of the season, you've only taken 1 or 2 points off us, who are realistically, we're not looking anything higher than 20th. Well, ideally slightly higher than 20th for my own sort of mental health, but we're not looking a huge amount higher than that. You really would need to be trying to take at least 4 points off us, wouldn't you? So that's why I think you'll go for it a bit more, because you don't want to get to the end of the season and not have actually beaten a team fighting for relegation in either leg. Yeah,
I think we have to. You're right, and well done. The word of the week is disingenuous. So we'll clip that one. We'll play that one out.
I've probably used it in completely the wrong context, so that'll be good.
I've tried to use big words before, and I've just used them in completely the wrong sentences.
That's that word of the day: toilet paper. It gets you big places.
I thought your word of the day toilet paper would be St Mary's, Southampton, Letitia.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's I've got no response to that would probably not get you demonetized, so I won't say a single word. I'll let that just hang there.
I didn't expect you to reply to that. But John, I'll let you take over, try and get the prediction out of him.
Right. Well, I'll give you mine first, and then if you want to follow Andy. So what we do, we do a charity bet. It's only £1. We put £1 on each of our predictions, which is the scoreline and anytime scorer. So I'm going to go 3-1 Middlesbrough and goal scorer Finn Azaz.
Okay. I mean, the general rule of thumb is if I think we're going to lose, I predict a draw. And if I think we're going to draw, I predict a win. And there haven't been many games this season where us actually thinking we were going to win has been a real issue. So I will go with a 1-1 draw. Read into that what you will, and I will snap your hand off for it. But I'll go with a 1-1 draw and Callum Lang scoring for Pompey. So hopefully that comes in and get some money for your chosen charity. I like that. It's a really nice idea that you guys do that.
Yeah, we do.
No, it was successful. More so last year. I think it was over £500 raised.
Can tell you didn't play Pompey very often, because we get about one prediction right every season. So you're obviously a lot better at this than we are.
No, that's what we've done this year. That's what we've done this year. We've only recently put some money in the pot because Steve's done an extra pound bet on a player to be carded in the game, and he's come up trumps on a few. But as yet, all our predictions, we haven't got one right. We've got scorelines right, but not the right goal scorer. So, and we put them on as a double. So yeah, so we haven't got one prediction right so far. So there's not as much in the kitty this year.
This could be the week. So. You never know.
I hope so. Yeah. Right, Jacko, what's yours?
Yeah, my gambling addiction, mild gambling addiction, came up with the idea of putting the other cards, and it's got us over the 40 quid mark. So we're on the way. We're on the move. So sorry, Andy, but I'm going 4-0. I really do think we'll put them to the sword because we have to, especially after the performance on Saturday. You know, fans are a bit disgruntled. That would be 4-0 or 1-0, Pompey. I'm going to go, for the first one.
I thoroughly hope that we can come back and clip that back at you on our episode next week. Excellent confidence.
I'm fine, clip it. But, as long as you tag us in, that's absolutely fine.
No such thing as bad publicity, hey?
Exactly. Any publicity is good publicity. So, 4-0 Borough. It depends how we play up front. I mean, I'm going to go latte laugh. Praying he's still here, hopefully. Yes, he's our star, and I still love him. So, I'm hoping he's
is he likely to be gone?
Not by Saturday, I would imagine. Well, who knows? Who knows? Some things happen so quickly, but it's looking increasingly likely that he will move on in this window.
Yeah, as in transfer or as in die? He'll move on. You know something that we do.
Well, I think transfer was what I was alluding to.
Okay, I don't excellent. Know. Let's hope it's
that. Being a cardiac expert, have you heard anything on the grapevine?
No, not relating to the Middlesbrough starting 11. I can confirm I haven't. No, you'll be glad to hear.
Oh, super.
No, that's good. Breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, a fair few bids have come in for Latte Laugh as they did in the summer. So, he's hot property, a bit like Ben Doak as well, unfortunately. So,
but his heart's in the club.
It might well be if he I'm just going to ignore that you try to make a joke there.
Sorry.
But one last question I've got for you, Andy. Obviously, before I let you plug your podcasters, your heart content. The Fratton Park atmosphere, obviously, it's been a fair few years since we've been there. You've won your last two at home. Is it still as boisterous as ever? Is it still as intimidating as it can be?
I think if you get into a position where either our backs are up against the wall there is a result on the cards, or if the going gets tough, or depending on the situation of the game, it can be one of the most intimidating atmospheres I've been in. It can also go through the natural progression of loud optimism, 3-0 down within 25 minutes. We spend an hour singing how rubbish we are. So there's a couple of ways it could go. In all seriousness, it is still a very good atmosphere for the most part. Where we are in the Fratton end is generally fairly boisterous. They've got safe standing at the top now, which I think has probably done a good. It's benefited the atmosphere from that aspect. The Milton end, where you guys are. Again, I don't know what year you were last there. If it had a roof on at that point, they put a roof on about 15 years ago, which was that was very exciting. But they have done a bit of work on it in the last few years since you were last there, so it should be a better away day experience than it probably was in terms of comfort. It's not the Ritz, but it's a lot better than it was a few years ago. They've given it a lick of paint and just made it a bit nicer as an away fan. Although that's not our main priority as a club to make it a really enjoyable, comfortable day out for everyone from the away club. But the atmosphere is generally good. I think we live off our reputation a little bit in terms of the Ronaldinho quote and the Thierry Henry stuff and the Jose Mourinho stuff, that we do live off that a little bit. And there are times last season when we were winning more than anything else. There was, I think it was it last season, first game of the season, we drew 0-0 and people booed, and you're thinking, What? Like a 0-0 draw, first or second game of the season, and you're booing the players off. What's going on? But for the most part, it's a positive place to be. And yeah, those wet days where it's rainy, the wind's howling in off the Solent, it's hammering down with rain, it's getting dark. That's a proper Fratton experience. So hopefully we get all of that.
Well, every time I've been to Fratton Park, I've enjoyed it. I mean, even the time when I think you thumped us something like 5-0 and Yakubu got 4. I've enjoyed it. It's a long trip. What more is it to do on a long journey than to have a few drinks and a good chat, listen to some music, enjoy it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I say, I think as a rule, we're a pretty friendly fan base for the most part. I know we have a reputation, and well, I don't know if it's compared to some clubs a reputation, but normally when we're on TV, someone does something stupid like, they punch a horse in the face, or they try and smack Luke O'Nien, or like there's been a few recently where we don't get shone in the best light because of a few morons. But for the most part, it is a genuinely quite friendly place for an away day. There's no pubs to avoid or anything like that where you're going to have issues as away fans. Nearest to the Milton end we always give it a plug. It's called the Staggeringly Good Brewery, which it will be new since you last came down, I think. And it's home and away fans mixing. It's a brewery on the spot. It's dinosaur themed. You get like nice, brewed drinks on the spot rather than Carling Carlsberg and Heineken as your options. And yeah, friendly atmosphere, home and away fans mix. It's good vibes. So I'd recommend that. And it's very near to the away end for you as well.
Right, spot on. Yeah, like I said, I think we sold out our allocation of 2,100. So that's there's going to be a good travelling support.
I should knock it over the 20,000 for the attendance. Then that'd be nice.
Brilliant. Is there any safe standing areas within the away enclosure?
Genuinely don't know. I haven't been in that Milton end since I was about 17, so I genuinely don't know. I'm afraid I probably should know, but I don't.
Okay, no worries.
I can tell you, John, there is.
There we go.
Smashing. That's okay. Yeah. That's good.
I'm glad one of us here knows what's going on at Fratton Park.
I don't know. I looked at my ticket last night because I don't even know if my ticket's here. But I looked and it said license to wear standing. So,
all right.
License tells me there's
license to thrill.
Well, fingers crossed. And we're clipping what he said about being 3-0 up in 25 minutes, and they're all singing how bad they are for an hour. So I'm clipping that for sure. But before I let you go, Andy, you got 30 seconds. Tell us all about your podcast. Obviously, we're fully aware after Hugh gave us the lowdown, but the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, we are the PO Forecast, which is the first part of the postcode for Fratton Park. You can find us in all the regular places, I guess. So, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud. We are Pompey News Now on Instagram and Twitter, X, Facebook, all of those places. And yeah, I'm imagining that if you come and put in an excellent performance and turn us over by 4 clear goals, we'll see a slight spike in listener figures next week, which would be lovely for the metrics. But yeah, you can find myself, Freddie, and Hugh in all those places under the PO Forecast. And if people would like to come and have a listen, we'd be very happy to welcome them for a week.
Brilliant. Well done.
And you'll hear my strained voice as well saying we'll win 4-0. So, no, that sounds really good.
So right, if we turn you over 3 or 4-0, we'll be directing everyone to the 12th Man podcast. Don't you worry about that.
That's absolutely fine.
Thank you.
If I was listening, to be fair, listening figures will double if we get beat 4-0 because I'll be on a rant, John will be on a rant, and a few of the other lads will be on a rant as well.
I'll be tuning in. Don't worry if that happens. I'll be one of your first listeners next week.
Yeah, I thought you might be. But, Andy, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. All the best rest of the season, not Saturday, obviously.
Thank you, gents.
And I genuinely hope you do stay up because it's one of the football clubs. I do keep an eye on. I do like Pompey. So yeah, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Same to you after this weekend, and yeah, look after Matt Clark. He's a good lad. So take good care of him for us, please.
We might send him. Enjoy. See you later.
Thanks, Andy.
There you go. And that was Andy from the PO Forecast, who was getting clipped all over the shop when we went 4-0. And we were 3-0 up within 25 minutes. But yeah, just before we do go, John, I did want to grab you, about the Latte Laugh rumours. There's a lot more coming out now about, different places looking at him. I've seen the most recent bid is Atlanta, which is weird because he came from Atalanta. Yeah. Thoughts on it? Are we fighting against a losing battle now, or are you still quite hopeful?
No. If I'm honest, if I give you my thoughts on it, I think that he'll go this window. But my only worry is that obviously we're going to need a replacement, and I just hope that we can get somebody who can slot in fairly quickly. Because, like I say, if we want to maintain our position in the top six or even improve it, then we have to replace him. We've lost Jones. We keep our fingers crossed that we don't lose Ben Doak. I think Latte will go. I hope to God that I'm wrong, but I just think that it's too much talk and too many rumors to be suggesting that it won't happen. It's sad, because he's a Championship's top scorer in 2024. We know how devastatingly good he can be. His finishing's great. I would love to keep him, but sadly, I think he'll be on his way.
Yeah, I do as well. And if I could pin you for one player that you think is realistic to go and have a look at and bring in, who would you think of?
Well, I don't mind the look of that Kone from Wickham. I've only ever seen highlights, and I've seen some of the goals that he scored, and it looks a bit rough around the edges, but he scores goals. I know he's not playing in a level like the Championship at the moment, but he's the only one I think maybe realistic that we could get, like that I know of in English football. I mean, the likes of Tom Cannon has been mentioned, but I just think he'll be out of our price range, if I'm honest. But you just don't know where else we're looking. Are we looking Northern Europe, Scandinavia? There's players out there, We just have to hope that Kieran Scott can come up trumps, and if he does go, then we can get an adequate replacement.
Yeah, agreed. One name I'll shot at, Morgan Whittaker from Plymouth.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times. I mean, I obviously saw the goal he scored against Brentford, but I haven't seen a great deal of him this season. So I don't know. I'll leave your thoughts on that, because, like I say, I don't know how he's done this season so far.
I couldn't say I've watched him a great deal this season, but he's a massive talent. Sticks out like a sore thumb in that Plymouth team. Not to be disrespectful to Plymouth, I just think he's thriving in a team like ours. With a lot of attacking options around him. I feel like he's a bit isolated at times, which I've seen a couple of times this season. You can see his frustration. Say the goal on Saturday, like you said, at Brentford, brilliant. Exactly why he came through the is it Everton Academy, I think he came through. Says it all. He comes through in the Premiership Academy. So yeah, I think if you offered Plymouth 10 million quid, I don't think they'd say no. To be quite honest. So
I don't think we'd pay that much, though, would we? Let's be honest. We can't afford to pay £10 million for a player. I'd be very, very surprised. I'd be astounded, in fact, if we did.
I just think it's worth chucking a bid in him and saying, we can give you the step up that you'll probably be looking for in your career. So, but I just
obviously,
thought,
I mean, Obviously, we've still got Tommy Conway out injured, and hopefully he comes back and he maintains his decent scoring record. But if we do lose Lath, we definitely need, and we've lost Jones, obviously. So we need players in.
We do, absolutely. But before then, we have got a long trip to Portsmouth. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll leave it there. I'll see you on. First, thank you very much for giving me your time. I'll see you on Saturday morning, bright and early.
Yeah, no problem.
Except it won't be bright. It'll just be early. We'll see the sunrise over the horizon as we're sipping into our first beers of the day. But very much looking forward to it. So I look forward to your company then. And to you people that have watched, liked, subscribed, commented, interacted with us, not just tonight, all season. Thank you so much. The voice just about held up, so I'll rest it for a few days now, and I'll be screaming the lads on at Fratton Park, where I hope to see a few of you there. So arrivederci, hope to be seeing you.